Okay, we're back. And where are we? Well, we're back at my dad's shop, and the bus is finally getting some sandblast material onto the panels for the ceiling. We finally got in touch with a supplier. We got some Belmar here. This is 3060, so it's not technically fine by Belmar standards. I think they call it a medium, but it's 3060 glass grit. I've already done a test run, so let's get you guys seeing what that looks like. So here's our panel, and this was the course. I think it was 1020 or something like that, 2030, and this is the 3060. Now on camera it looks pretty similar, but I don't know if you can tell by the sound, it is different. And it's not ideal. I wanted finer, but this is going to be okay. This isn't causing actual like massive pitting to the aluminum. So I'm thinking, and obviously this will be our test panel, right? I'm going to completely blast this one, prime it and paint it before we go any further with the rest. But I'm pretty sure this is going to be fine. We're not going to have bleed through of all these nasty divots and stuff through the primer and the paint. I think the paint and the primer will be thick enough to fill those themselves. We could use a filler primer, but I'm going to use self-etching because this is aluminum. You know, perhaps if it looks terrible, we could try another test panel with filler primer. But anyway, we're going to get right onto this right now. That's where we're at with the bus. So without further ado, on we go and let's get blasting. All right, first panel blasted. It looks okay. There's a little bit of primer showing through here and there, but overall, I'm fairly happy with it. This was the worst panel in the bus. It's got some holes here because the mouse nest on the other side, they urinate through it, but they're really minor. So I think it's gonna cover up pretty nicely with the primer. We'll get a couple thick coats of the self-etching primer on there and see what sort of result we get. But let's do that next. Almost done. We might not have to go to a second because this is so thick, but we will have to take a good long while for that to dry. Now, is it going to show texture? Maybe. We'll see as it dries what it comes out like. Not only are we dealing with, you know, textured metal now from the sandblast, but also self-etching primer is going to do some stuff. It's going to dig its way into there. So anyway, let's blast some more pieces. Okay, well this is drying up pretty nicely. You can see it's still kind of dark in the middle. That's because we did such a thick coat and it's just not dry yet, but it's quite smooth. It's hard to say, hard to show you guys in this light, unfortunately, but it's quite smooth. We're not having issues with some really nasty pitting or anything coming through, so that's gonna work. I have another piece quite big, which is sandblasted and ready to be primed, so we'll do that and then we'll just keep on going. It's a little tedious, definitely very time consuming, but it's gonna be worth it in the end. We'll have a nice white color on these and it'll match the rest of the interior. So great, on we go. Okay, so all of these are sandblasted and primed. I have a few that had really nasty mouse nest in it, so I'm going to pressure wash those. And then these are all going to be too long for the blasting cabinet. So we're probably going to have to do some hand sanding on the paint where it's really damaged, and then just hope the self-etching primer will do the rest for us. So I'm going to get these blasted now and clean them up so they can go in the blaster next. I'm using Danny's little electric pressure washer. This thing's cool. I kind of want one. Way easier than a gas pressure washer. So let's give that a shot. Okay, so the update is those are all primed, like I said. Those are now clean, as are these two and that one. And that's all the panels. There are some metal strips that need to be addressed as well that hold these two pieces together. For those of you that saw the video of it coming down, you'll know what I mean. It's a big cast strip that goes between these two and makes the connection on the roof. So those need to be washed and painted separately. But I'm gonna let these dry. I'm out of primer and my back hurts. So I'm gonna head down and get some primer at the store, and we'll get back to it maybe later this evening, maybe tomorrow. On we go. Okay, it's a day later and I have all these primed panels set up for painting. The goal is going to be to get those all coated in white before I start sandblasting the rest of the panels. I'm going to be using Rust-Oleum gloss white, the same as we used on the inside of the bus, but I'm using their Turbo Can. These are actually kind of, at least right now in 2022, these are really hard to find. They're not a big seller, so maybe Rust-Oleum's reduced production of them, I'm not sure. But it has it's got to be a 14-inch spray. It's pretty cool. And in this sort of use, they actually make a lot of sense. They don't make a lot of sense for small projects. They're kind of hard to control. But if you can lay something flat, you're not fighting gravity, and it's a long component. I've used them for baseboards. I've used them for a bunch of things. So it can work really well. So I'm going to be using this. We'll lay down this white, and then I'll get some of these shorter panels here, that one and that one there, into the sandblaster so we can continue on with that process. The long panels here, those I think I'm going to have to hand sand. And I want to reiterate, the reason that I prefer sandblasting on these panels is because they were originally cream. That's what the New Jersey buses had on the interior. And they were painted blue. And the UV exposure over the years, just temperature change and whatever, there's lots of areas on here where this has come right down to aluminum. So just sanding the blue, which unfortunately we're going to have to do on these ones, but you can see there's areas where that's bare aluminum, there's areas where there's cream. So, you know, the primer's gone whenever you see bare aluminum. It's just not ideal. So I would have liked to sandblast everything. These are just way too big for our blast cabinet. I do have an outdoor sandblaster. There's the blast cabinet over there. But the outdoor sander is just wasteful. And I only have a few bags of the glass. So I would use up a bag every, 10 minutes or something. It doesn't recirculate the media. So we're not going to do that. We're just going to have to hand sand those ones there. Oh well. But for now, let's get started with our paint. See if we get a good result on all those guys there. Laying it on nice and thick, because this stuff, the spray pattern is so big that it kind of is blotchy. So you kind of got to get it all at once. So that's that panel done. This can's almost empty. When these are done, they're done. There's no shaking around and hoping this is gonna give you more. Also, a lot of overspray with these, but what are you gonna do? I don't really mind it going on the ground in here. It just gets swept up with the dirt, but I probably should have wore shoes and pants because I am looking a tad frosty down there and sticky. It's all in my hair. But anyway, pretty good result. I ran out on this one, but I'll get that when I open the next can for the rest. A nice gloss white. Probably do some really light passes with the next can on these. But overall, not bad. So that's a lot of, linear feet right there to be painting. I want to say those are 24 ounces each. So they do pretty well. So anyway, let's get the sandblaster fired up and get that one in there. Well, we've done pretty good. We have lots of nice shiny paint. There's pieces everywhere, scattered all over. But these are all top coated. Some of it came out a little matte. Maybe it'll sheen up as it dries more, but that's okay. It's still a good enough sheen for what our goal was. Like I said, I got pieces everywhere. But anyway, I have 2 more panels to sandblast. There's one right here, and you can see why. It's one of the longer panels, but there's so much damage with the primer and stuff. I wouldn't dare not sandblast that one. And then we have a short panel. Actually, it's a pretty long panel in there. But again, it's just damaged a lot. So we'll get that blasted up, primed, and then we're done. There's some more pieces right there. The last step is to take our transition strips, which connect these two panels together. They're a cast piece, and get those painted, but those aren't going to need blasting. They should hold paint just fine. So yeah, I'm going to get back to it on that, and on we go. All right, everybody, and just like that, we are done with the tin. It wasn't that bad of a deal. Probably about 9 hours into all this tin. Another piece there. They're all over the place. But the tin is painted, which means there's a couple of supporting pieces to be touched up when we reinstall this. Some of them can be painted on the bus, it wouldn't matter. So as soon as these are completely dry tomorrow, we're going to see about looking at putting them up in the bus, at least getting some of them installed and figure out what that process looks like. Taking them down was awful. I'm sure putting them back up is going to be awful. Stay tuned. Okay, these are the transition strips and the last thing that need to be painted. And I have confirmed by this drill mark that I forgot, had slipped off, that they are definitely aluminum. So these are cast aluminum. So we're going to paint up anywhere you see that's blue, needs to be painted white. Just going to run some acetone over these and clean them. I don't think we're going to have any issues with it sticking. And we'll get that done up. And what that means for us is once these are painted, we can go reinstall the two pieces of tin. So they mount in the bus like this. If this is the floor, this is the ceiling. We have the curved piece of tin goes into here, and then the flat piece of tin goes into there. And I'm pretty confident, I'm very confident, because these were through bolts. These holes right here were through bolts. So in order to mount them in the bus, you have to be able to get behind here and hold the nut. So these go up first, and then we push the tin in separately, and then rivet the tin in is how they did it in the factory. I'm going to try and avoid rivets, but we'll get to that point later. But the point is, we're going to put these in the bus first. We do need to modify lengths because of where I put the bathrooms and stuff, so we're going to have to cut these. So that process will probably be its own video. So I think right now I'm just going to get them painted up and then wrap this one up. Okay, so what I was talking about was these mounting brackets, and here's a good illustration without too much foam. That hole right there was a through bolt. It's not threaded, it's nothing fancy, so I know just from that, and I think I remember taking it down, but it's hard, it was a while ago, that the transition strip has to be mounted on these first, and then we will slide our bottom piece of tin into the gap and our top piece of tin into the gap. And it was originally riveted all along here. I don't know if I can show you a hole. I might have cut, there's one. There's a hole right there. But we're definitely gonna have to do some trimming, no big deal. Or possibly we'll be sliding this under here, and then that will be what fastens. That would be actually much better. So if I can leave this wood as it is and slide this tin underneath and the wood just pressing is what fastens it on this side, that would be great. I still need to determine my solution for down here. So all of these little holes used to be rivets. So that's a bummer. I mean, they might have been self-tappers. The good news is they're really small. Most of them were out. Nope, see, it was definitely a rivet. There's your rivet material right there. So we could probably get a screw into these holes to hold the tin on there. Not sure yet. So the only part that I'm thinking I might need to still rivet, this hole right here is supposed to hold the tin flush against that. That probably needs to be a rivet. There was this threaded hole right here in each one of these as well. So I don't know, that one's been enlarged. That one's quite small. So they probably had the tin in and out. Yep, there's a broken brass screw right there. So that's how they did that. So we'll probably just self-tap through 1, 2, and 3 using this style of self-tapper to hold the tin in, and that solves that problem. But anyway, that's going to be the next video. So we're done for this video. The only thing I need to get downtown is the screws that are going to hold the transition strip in. So I'm going to try and find one of the old ones. I know I kept them. I just got to find the bag that they're in. bring that down and get all new, hopefully stainless screws to hold those in. So yeah, like always guys, thanks for watching HylandShire. Before you know it, there's going to be cabinets in here. This tin is a major step. Tin first, windows, then cabinets. That's our goal. So thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.